Like we need like a broad education initiative. You might call it re-education, but I think it's just education. You know, these people need to learn. Like these people are fucking, they need to be deprogrammed by like communism. You like the weekend? Thank a union for that. Thank some communists for that. Okay. All right.
HHS.
Now in a sea of awfulness, let's move on to where is it? In a sea of awfulness, let's move on to fucking the state of Florida, okay? Florida to remove all vaccine mandates in the state.
Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. set to face lawmakers for the first time since CDC Director Susan Mernarez' firing after she refused to go along with his changes to COVID vaccine policy. With the CDC in turmoil, there's new fallout this morning after Florida's move to end vaccine mandates, including those for school children.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them.
Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo has long been criticized by health experts for spreading vaccine misinformation.
Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? Your body is a gift from God.
The move would make the Sunshine State the first to no longer mandate certain vaccines for children in public schools, currently required to be vaccinated against serious diseases like polio, measles, chickenpox, and tetanus. The American Medical Association condemning the move, saying in a statement, this unprecedented rollback would undermine decades of public health progress. While there is still time, we urge Florida to
This is one of those things where like obviously a lot of the anti-vaxxer stuff is supposed to be used as a distraction, right? Like it's supposed to be culture warriors. It's supposed to keep people busy so that they just realize that, you know, the cost of living and affordability crisis is still ongoing. But you're too busy to recognize that Trump is not doing shit about that. Okay? But the problem with this is like when you actually lean into it, when you actually lean into making decisions about culture war stuff, you are unironically cooking your own future. Like, what good is it if a shit ton of next generation Floridians just have childhood polio and numerous other diseases that have been eradicated as a consequence of vaccine mandates? It doesn't make sense. This is the problem with moving in the direction of having like true believers rather than simple grifters that are going to agitate in the direction of this kind of stuff, but never actually fulfill the desires of some of the most insane people in the base. Another example I can present to you is white nativist anti-immigrant agendas, right? Like if Donald Trump were to do the Guatemalan Mexican Holocaust in this country with like 12 million brown people being shipped away into concentration camps, many of which work in the agricultural business, the poultry business, many of them work in the construction business, like it would not only be unimaginably cruel, but it would also destroy the American economy, okay? Obviously, first and foremost, that is like an insane thing to do. That is an incredibly, incredibly cruel thing to do. But it would also be a self-own. It would be an own goal. You would be killing the economy, right? This feels like that. This feels like a move in the direction of actively cooking your own future. It doesn't make any sense.
Consider this change to help prevent a rise of infectious disease outbreaks that put health and lives at risk. Measles cases have already risen nationwide to their highest level in 25 years, and the decision has medical experts ringing the alarm.
In the 1970s, there were school vaccine mandates across the country, but they weren't enforced. And then you had these major outbreaks of tens of thousands of people, children who had measles. And with those enforcement of school vaccine mandates, you ended those outbreaks.
Now, as the nation's top health agencies face a crisis of confidence, California, Oregon, and Washington are joining together to launch a new West Coast Health Alliance, quote, to ensure residents remain protected by science, not politics. Multiple reports saying Kennedy has chosen 7 new members to join the agency's panel of vaccine experts, and at least 3 of those reported new members have been critical of vaccines. HHS telling ABC News, "You will hear it from us when there are new members to announce."
These changes were absolute.
And while all this is happening, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy is defending the shakeup at the CDC in a Senate hearing and saying that it was absolutely a necessity. As you guys may or may not be aware of course, the former head of the CDC was fired, and then a bunch of people actually left, resigned in protest. And now you got a bunch of senators asking questions about, like, what the hell is going on? Meanwhile, the person that they're putting in charge is a psychopath, is another Peter Thiel acolyte.
Necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard public health agency with the central mission of protecting Americans from infectious disease. CDC failed that responsibility miserably during COVID, when its disastrous and nonsensical policies destroyed small businesses, violated civil liberties, closed our schools, caused generational damage in doing so, massed infants with no science, and heightened economic inequality. And yet all those oppressive and unscientific interventions failed to do anything about the disease itself. America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20% of the COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving. And that's why we need bold, competent, and creative new leadership at CDC. People able and willing to chart a new course. As my father once said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator, and change has its enemies. That's why we need new blood at CDC. That's also why it's imperative.
Dude. I mean, this is like Hideo Kojima levels of disease, man. Okay, this is like a Hideo Kojima boss. Okay, in the Metal Gear series called Disease Man, being like, "That's right, I'm one of the 4 horsemen. I'm here to bring about disease. It'll be your salvation. Millions must die. Children must get polio. It will only make them stronger." And people are just looking at this and going, "No, that's my guy, dude." It's crazy. Like, he is seen as like a popular person. He is seen as a popular figure in this administration. How nutty. What the fuck is bro talking about? Like quarantining and mass didn't mitigate infection rates and deaths? Yeah, it's over. Like the COVID stuff, like the COVID stuff totally bricked people. It totally bricked people. There are so many people that just like straight up think it's like both fake, but it was also a bioweapon, and the vaccines were worse, and the mask mandates were completely ridiculous because it was fake, even though it killed people because it was a bioweapon. Like it is so inconsistent. It doesn't make any sense, but it does not matter. There are people who just are, their brains are completely busted on this, okay? And here is Holy Toledo himself. Support for vaccinating kids against infectious diseases dropped from 81% in 1991 to 51% last year.
This has to do with Florida, where they're trying to overturn all vaccine mandates, including vaccine mandates.
It's so funny because vaccine hesitancy has been deployed as a weapon for political instability overseas, or has been an unfortunate byproduct of like American intervention overseas. And we're doing it to ourselves. We are doing it to ourselves. It's just pretty funny to think about, like, it's pretty funny to think about like America cooking its own future like this. A plague upon our own homes.
In school for children, What do the polls tell us about that?
Okay, this to me is one of the most interesting and, in my opinion, most troubling trend lines that we have seen. Okay, vax kids against infectious diseases, the government should require it. You go back to 1991, it was 81%, okay?
1991, holy Toledo.
Then we go to 2019 at 62%. Look at where that number fell to by 2024. It was just 51%. That is a 30-point drop from 34 years ago. My goodness gracious, now a bare majority say that the government should, in fact, require kids to be vaccinated against infectious diseases. Amongst Republicans, it's the opposite. The majority say the government shouldn't require it. Now, I should point out this does depend a little bit on question wording. The polling out this morning says that the government should encourage it, but encourage it is very different from requiring it. And when it comes to requiring it, the American public has become increasingly skeptical of the idea that, in fact, the government should require kids to be vaccinated against infectious diseases.
I mean, what do you say to that? What can you say to that? I always talk about like how if everyone believes the fake thing and it is a part of the collective understanding, then what use is there for the truth? Like, what use is there to try and advocate for social welfare in some degree when people are just saying like, nah, that's not for me. Social welfare, fucking vaccines, that's gonna make me gay and autistic. Don't want it, brother. Like, what do you do? It's kind of like that quote, you know, to be well adjusted to a objectively insane society, to an objectively unhealthy society is no measure of mental sanity. You know? It's cooked.
That we remove officials with conflicts of interest and catastrophically bad judgment and political agendas. We need unbiased, politics-free, transparent, evidence-based science in the public interest. Those are the guiding principles behind the changes at the CDC, and that is what you can expect all across.
Are you sponsored by Pfizer? Hell yeah, brother. I love Big Pharma. I'm sponsored by Pfizer. No, man, I just think vaccines are good, okay? I think it's important. It's important to fucking vaccinate. Because I'm not a psycho. Because I'm not a fucking caveman. Okay, I don't know how else to describe it. I'm pro-vaccine. Okay, you got me. I always have been. I am pro-modern medicine. Okay, it is the reason why we live till the age of 70. Okay, the reason why the average life expectancy has shot up, even though America it's going down quite a bit, to like 70 plus, is directly a consequence of vaccines and modern medicine. That's it. That's it. Because the life expectancy, it doesn't mean that like people just like always automatically died at the age of like 30 or whatever back in the day. Modern medicine and specifically vaccines made it so that like these incredibly unfortunate childhood deaths due to preventable diseases that are now preventable because of vaccines, no longer cook people, no longer kill children, which is the reason why the life expectancy was significantly lower back in the day. I cannot believe we are still having like a debate about this too. It's one of those things where it's one of those things that I never really imagined we would be debating in 2025. If you were to tell me 10 years ago that like Americans would be sincerely discussing how bad vaccines are, I don't think that I would ever see the day. It's so crazy because like people partially look to the success of vaccines to present an anti-vaxxer stance. They go, well, there's no more polio. It's not a problem any longer. Not realizing that is because of the vaccines, dumbass. Like, what the fuck do you mean there's no more polio? It's not a problem. Yeah, because of the fucking vaccines. you're presenting an argument that proves vaccine efficacy while simultaneously making an anti-vax argument. This is another byproduct of American entitlement, American individualism, American selfishness, and also a lack of education. Americans are just not critical thinkers at all. We are easily deluded. We are servile little piggies. And we think whatever kind of dumb fuck opinion that we have arrived at on our own without actually doing the proper research, proper education, and demonstrating even a fraction of the critical thinking necessary is actually a unique opinion that everyone must listen to and everyone must agree with. Everyone must agree with this opinion because I'm a unique little snowflake and I came up with this opinion and therefore it's good. Oh, you don't want to hear my perspective? It's like, no, I don't actually, because you're a fucking idiot. And so am I. The difference between you and I is that I recognize that I'm a fucking idiot. You don't. And for that reason, I, take advantage of the marvels of modern medicine and the fucking thousands of years at this point of medical research that have gotten us to this fucking point. And I just delegate the responsibility to the fucking experts. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a fucking doctor, and neither are you. And we do this every day. We take this for granted every single fucking day. There is a reason why your meat that you consume is not poison, okay? The meat that you consume, that you purchase at a fucking grocery store, has been, at the very least, in the past, with a competent government, was checked, okay? Was checked by a regulatory agency. So you don't have to consider whether or not the meat that you're purchasing at the grocery store is going to fucking poison you and kill you. We take this kind of shit for granted on a daily basis. And the same goes for vaccines and things of that nature. We just take it for granted, and then we detangle and undermine the people that are, the people that have spent their whole lives researching this stuff, trying to make sure that it is as safe as possible, trying to improve social welfare. Fucking so crazy.
Any attempt to restrict drinking and driving here is viewed by some as downright undemocratic.
It's kind of getting common is when a fella can't put in a hard day's work, put in 11, 12 hours a day, and then get in your truck and at least drink 1 or 2 beers.
They're making it laws where you can't drink when you want to.
Like, that's a mother, bro.
You have to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. And pretty soon we're going to be calm in this country.
Yeah. That's just typical American shit, though. Like, that's it. We just have this fucking brain rot, this brain disease where we think, we just think like any kind of restriction for social welfare, any sort of regulation for social welfare to improve people's chances in spite of their own stupidity, improve people's chances of survival in spite of their own fucking stupidity, is actually bad. It's the same in other places. Yes and no. It is definitely a part of human nature for sure, but a competent government is supposed to overcome this kind of thing, and they do. Okay? And they do. They overcome this kind of thing, and they just move along with it. They just go along with it. They keep doing it. Didn't they say the same in Turkey? Cell phone towers would give cancer? Sure. I'm sure they probably did. But it doesn't matter because the cell phone towers still got put up. And people shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Also, some overlap between anti-vax and flat earthers. I mean, yeah, it's just dumb. It's a very high likelihood that you are an absolute dumb fuck if you are anti-medicine, okay? If you're anti-modern medicine, vaccines come along with that, you are most likely a fucking dumb person. And if you're a dumb person, you're an easily tricked adult, and you're going to believe in a whole litany of different nonsensical bullshit.
Our agency for the next 3 years.
Senator Sanders. Just want to pick up on Senator Warren's point. Are you telling us that the former head of CDC went to you, you asked her, are you a trustworthy person?
It's so funny, yeah. Like, remember during COVID, the richest people literally cut the line to get the vaccines, man. That's what's so crazy about it. Like, Rupert Murdoch unleashed a torrent of anti-vax commentary on his fucking on all of his media outlets because it was good for the populist grift. Okay. Meanwhile, Rupert Murdoch, I know for a fact, because I know people that work at his winery, was so unimaginably terrified of dying from COVID that he was consistently in a state of panic and isolation. Okay. Constantly making sure everyone around him was getting COVID tested. He got his COVID vaccines before anybody else. Okay. These scumbags who run around, and melt the minds of your parents, your grandparents, and all these other dumb fucks that are in here are the first in line to get that goddamn vaccine. That's what's so fucked up about it.
And she said, no, I am not a trustworthy person?
She didn't say, no, I'm not a trustworthy person. She said, no.
Wow.
Giving a quote. And I asked her twice.
No, 1 second. And you're also repeating now that she is a liar, correct? What you wrote in the Wall Street Journal.
If she wrote that I fired her because she refused to sign on in advance for the ASIP committee, no, that's not accurate.
All right.
Like when I see this level of psychosis, you know, it makes it really hard to assume we can get out of this without like some semblance of education. Like we need like a broad education initiative. You might call it re-education, but I think it's just education. You know, these people need to learn. Like these people are fucking, they need to be deprogrammed by like an army of social workers and like counselors and mental health therapists. Their brain is busted. Their brain is broken. What do we do? What do we fucking do?
You're calling her a liar, and I look forward to her coming before the Help Committee, maybe this committee as well. All right, Mr. Secretary, I've got a bunch of questions. Appreciate brevity in answering it. So-called beautiful bill threw 15 million Americans off of health care, substantially raised premiums, and is going to have a terrible impact on nursing homes, community health centers, rural hospitals all over America. Very briefly, is that really making America healthy again?
It's going to be the biggest infusion of federal dollars into rural health care in American history.
Yeah, you know why? Because you're cutting $150 billion for rural hospitals. You're putting $50 billion back. That's not an infusion. That's a loss of $100 billion. All right, next question. President Trump, who I don't usually agree with, called COVID vaccines, quote, one of the greatest miracles in the history of modern-day medicine that saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. Scientific community agrees with Trump.
Yeah, this is the other thing. Like he also praised. Oh God, he praised Operation Warp Speed because Donald Trump is responsible for it, but also simultaneously, he's saying the vaccines are killing people and they're bad. And it's like, how? How can you? Okay, so Donald Trump actually is responsible for the mass murder of Americans that the vaccines killed, you know? This is the other side of the story. It is so fucking inconsistent. It is so fucking stupid. It makes no sense. This kind of conspiratorial thinking should not fall apart with surface level questioning, okay? Like you shouldn't be able to undermine this system that you have designed with like 2 follow-up questions, okay? But that's perhaps the reason, or that's perhaps the clearest indication that like these guys still push for RFK Jr. and his way of thinking, or his lack of thinking, rather, because they didn't arrive at this conclusion through logic and critical thinking and reasoning. They arrived at this conclusion through fear and anger and resentment.
Lancet study found that it prevented almost 20 million deaths during their first year of use. Secretary Kennedy, are President Trump and the medical community right, or do you still believe that the COVID vaccine was, quote, the deadliest vaccine ever made?
No,
Sadly, I think the only thing that will change their minds if they get sick and or die, no. I've seen it. Y'all don't remember COVID, bro. No. Immediate family members were like, nah. Have you researched what negative effects the vaccine has had on people? Yes, I have. Okay? I have. The overwhelming majority of that shit is bullshit. Okay? Do vaccines, just like every other piece of medicine, have adverse side effects on some people? Absolutely. Vaccines, however, have the lowest percentage, especially because they're broadly used by virtually every fucking person. Are there allergic reactions, for example? Absolutely. Some people literally cannot get inoculated for that reason. Those people are some of the staunchest advocates for vaccines in order to maintain a herd immunity protection with mass inoculation campaigns so that they don't actually get sick and fucking die because they can't get the vaccine for that reason. You literally just like look at some random freak that wants attention and is like shaking their legs going, this is what vaccines did to me. And you go, that I believe it, because you're fearful. Okay. You're fearful. It's fear. I did my own research. Oh my God. I did my own research. Have you seen the VAERS database? Yeah, I have, dude. It says Harry Potter died of a vaccine injury. Like, what the fuck do you mean? It's literally a thing that you can just write bullshit on. This does not mean that like people can't have adverse effects. You have to weigh that likelihood. Okay? And I think a lot of people don't do that because they're too stupid. Yeah, VAERS is publicly reported by anyone without vetting. I know, it's so stupid. I can't believe there's still hella people that are anti-vax too in this community.
Oh, I didn't say that. Oh, I said that in terms of affairs reports a while ago. I said today, I think that President Trump should get the Nobel Prize.
So who's right? Is Trump in the medical community right, or are you right?
President Trump did an extraordinary piece of leadership.
Is he right or wrong? Did COVID save millions of lives?
As I said, he got Americans back to work. At that time, that particular vaccine was perfectly matched.
Why don't you make your research notes public? I don't know, man. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
The virus that was circulating then, and I have no idea how many lives it saved, but it saved quite a few.
You know, what I find a little bit weird in this discussion, I'm hearing it over and over again this morning, Mr. Chairman, is we've got the entire medical community on one side. You got the AMA representing hundreds of thousands of doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Public Health Association. All of these organizations are telling us.
I didn't love the inject this undercooked vaccine into your arm or lose your job approach. Vaccines work, but they had this one out in like, what, 3 to 5 times faster than any other? That's the problem. This is, you once again arrive at, you once again go, oh, it's undercooked. This one is different. I'm pro-vaccine except for this last one. Okay, you're not new or unique in this kind of fucking hesitancy, in this kind of skepticism. This is where this is where the anti-vaxxer idea starts. Okay, you're looking for reasons as to why scientists were just like, for some reason or another, scientists were literally actively just putting out something that's going to kill people. And what's really funny about this is that every single one of these dumb fucks that said the COVID vaccine is going to kill people said that it was going to have like it was going to be the Holocaust, you know, like billions of people that were inoculated were going to die any time now. You know, it's going to happen overnight. People that got inoculated were just going to simply fucking perish one day. There are people talking about how like they want purebloods, people that haven't been vaccinated. Why didn't it happen? Why has it not happened? Again, it goes back to the same bullshit where people just like make up these fucking false assertions, make up these like hallucinated alternatives. Find them? Make up these hallucinated alternatives and then alternative reality things that don't actually end up happening, but it's too late. You've already doubled down at that point.
That COVID vaccine and vaccines in general are safe and effective. You are casting doubt on that. Who are your scientific Who are the organizations that are agreeing with you and casting aspersions on vaccines?
The primary advisors are Marty McCary, Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Oz, Vinay Prasad.
So you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the
names. Not a few doctors. What you're talking about is there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry.
So you're telling the American people that the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted and that they should not trust their doctors. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record, every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you will agree with me on that. Okay, you were already president, you had a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now...
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I think you do know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The issue is every time anyone disagrees with you...
Are you saying the pharmaceutical industry was supporting my presidential campaign?
I'm saying,
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the pharmaceutical industry is a greedy institution which is charging us the highest prices in the world. They are pervasive. But to suggest that every institution, the AMA, the pediatrics people, is corrupt because they disagree with you is an insult to the American people.
Listen, people disagree with me all the time. I have arguments in my agency, heated arguments every day with Jay Bhattacharya, with Marty McCary, with Dr. Oz.
You have given the names of a few people. I have given you the names of organizations representing hundreds of thousands of doctors and scientists. I yield, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, last November, while you were under consideration to become Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Kennedy, you said, quote, if vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away. No exceptions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them.
Bro, I've never seen Bernie this heated. I've never seen Bernie this heated. My mother didn't get vaccinated. She got COVID and ended up in the hospital. She nearly died. And to this day, she still blames the hospital and the doctor saying they didn't treat her properly. There's just no getting through to her. I spent weeks trying to persuade her at least to let my little brother get vaccinated. In the end, he did it without her knowing. I'm from Vienna. This isn't a U.S. problem. Well, it's certainly becoming more and more of an issue all around the world. But I think it's just like a... like an ever-present issue here in America. I'm an American. Obviously, I know, American societal attitudes a lot better than I know anything else. But I will say, when you look at the data on this stuff, like America is definitely the clear-cut winner on vaccine hesitancy. I mean, 51%, dude. We just looked at it. 51%. I feel like is worse in the U.S. than anywhere else. Half of the places where there is vaccine hesitancy is because we exported that fucking brain rot. Or we imported the brain rot, like with Andrew Wakefield. We imported the brain rot from other countries that dealt with this problem on their own, like the UK. And then we got the guy who actually did the fucking vaccine, the number one like anti-vaxxer, the most famous anti-vaxxer. We brought him to the United States of America and we made him a legend, dude. It feels like there's no comparison. But I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I'm American.
Then last week, you announced that the COVID-19 vaccine is no longer approved for healthy people under the age of 65. In announcing the change, you said the vaccine will be available for anyone who wants it. Now, obviously, both things cannot be true at the same moment. So let's clear this up right now, Secretary Kennedy. Will you tell America that all adults and all children over 6 months of age are eligible to get a COVID booster at their local pharmacy today?
Anybody can get the booster.
I'm sorry?
Anybody can get it, Senator.
Anybody. So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended for healthy people.
No. If you don't recommend, then the consequence of that in many states is that you can't walk into a pharmacy and get one. It means insurance companies don't have to cover the $200 or so cost. As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise, Mr. Kennedy,
I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
No. Because the reality of the matter is, if this kind of life-saving medication is paywalled, then no, everybody can't get it. This is at the heart of the problem. Good luck explaining this to the rest of America who are so used to for-profit health insurance.
So look, let's move on. You clearly are taking away vaccines. I've seen the list for what's coming up next, and that is the agenda for the next CDC vaccine panel. And first up is ratifying your COVID actions. Second is hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access as well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it.
Dog, you are not a random podcaster. You are directing the CDC to no longer recommend this vaccine, which means it will no longer be covered by health insurance, which means people will have to pay out of pocket for it, which means they're just not going to get it. What the hell did Olivia Nuzzi see in that guy? I mean, she's a freak on her own.
Away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with me?
You want me to recommend every product in the world so that without any clinical trial data.
Through on your promises.
Yeah, my promise was to give.
A month ago, we could get COVID vaccines by just walking.
You can still get COVID vaccines, Senator.
You are taking that away.
No, you are still. You can still get the COVID vaccines, and Medicare will still pay for them, and Medicaid will still pay for them.
Tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. So if you had an employee.
This is like a kid. Like a kid is talking. Like that's their counter narrative here. That's the argument that they're presenting. That's awesome. God damn, you literally have to have the same kind of brainworm that dipshit has to fucking agree with this, to believe that this is like a serious move.
Who told you they weren't trustworthy? Would you ask them to resign, Senator?
So I'm sorry, but this is not what she has said publicly. She has said
I'm
she
not
was
surprised about
reapprove.
that.
So you're saying she's lying?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there were
And let me get
witnesses.
this straight. This is the same person that less than a month earlier, you stood next to her and described her as unimpeachable. And you had full confidence in her, and that you had full confidence in her scientific credentials. And in a month, she became a liar?
Yeah, you should ask her what changed. And by the way, a month ago, you were voting against her. Oh, because you thought she was either incompetent, ineligible, or unsuited to the task.
I voted
Now
against her
agree
because
with
I
you.
was afraid she was going to bend the knee to you and Donald Trump. And it looks like she didn't bend the knee, so you fired her. Look, you are putting America's babies' health at risk, America's seniors' health at risk, all Americans' health at risk, and you should resign.